use the infrastructure as a service, use the cloud resources, etc. So now the security is shifting from just not being on-prem, but it's shifting and it's converging in the cloud. So you might be hearing a lot of different names nowadays with respect to security. And I'll write some of these here. So you might have heard about Secure Internet Gateway, for example. Or SIG. You might hear the term edge security. Okay, you would have been hearing the term SASE. Okay, or you would be hearing the term SSE, for example. Okay, and there are lots of other names that has been coming out because of all of this convergence in the cloud that has been happening now. Okay, so but regardless of what we call these or what we give these the name, what we're trying to do is, or what vendors are trying to do is, they're trying to have multiple security solutions in one single cloud service. Okay, so that organizations can have flexibility to deploy the security services however they want and wherever they want. So without having to have any physical security devices on-prem or to buy any physical security devices, organizations are now looking at doing a lot of security as a service solutioning. Okay, where all of your security solutions, all of the security functions that you typically will used to have on-prem on physical hardware or virtual appliances, you now have them in the cloud in a single cloud service. Okay, so you basically don't have to deploy any appliances. Okay, Cisco Umbrella is one such solution. Okay, this is Cisco's side of, or Cisco's way of doing security as a service. One of the ways in which Cisco offers cloud-based security. Okay, you could call it cloud-based security, or you can call it cloud-delivered security. Okay, so basically this cloud-delivered security service, it brings all the essential functions, all the essential security functionality that might be required by an organization. Okay, and just to recap, Cisco Umbrella was, or in the beginning, it was called as OpenDNS. Okay, so OpenDNS was acquired by Cisco, and they renamed it to Cisco Umbrella. Okay, so you can still go out and still look at OpenDNS, OpenDNS website, etc. It's still out there. Now, what does Cisco Umbrella offer? Okay, Cisco Umbrella offers, like I said, everything security related. It's a security cloud service. So through the Cisco Umbrella, first thing you get is DNS layer security. You get cloud delivered firewall. And this is a layer 7 firewall. Okay, this is a layer 3 to layer 7 firewall. It can also do IPS. It can do everything that an on-prem firewall can do. You then also get secure web gateway called as SWG. Okay, so this is an intelligent proxy. Okay, so this basically gets you to do a lot of things for web traffic filtering, content filtering, URL filtering, all of that good things. Fourth is it can also act as a cloud access security broker, CASB. Okay, to help organizations which have cloud-based workload, or they are using any of the public clouds to host their applications, services, etc. And obviously, the cloud service needs to have some sort of an intelligence, some sort of a threat intel. Okay, so this is delivered by Cisco Talos, which is the Cisco intelligence team that does the research, okay, that figures out what's going on in the outside world, etc. Okay, so this is what the Umbrella solution offers. Okay, and a lot of these things you would see, this is now an organization can deploy all of these, can have all of these services being implemented without having to buy any physical hardware. Okay, or do any or purchase any equipment, for example. Okay, so we'll discuss all of these. Okay, just to have you understand how it or what are the different functions which are there, let's say in cloud delivered firewall, or maybe what functions might be in SWG. Okay, and then we'll discuss how you basically do or what all integrations can be done with Umbrella. So technically, the first level of defense or the first level of security is typically DNS. Okay, so DNS security is the first line of defense against threats, because any sort of DNS resolution that is happening, that is the first step for anyone who might be trying to do internet access. Okay, so if you are able to enforce security at, let's say, the DNS layer, you will be able to, as an organization, block requests to malicious and unwanted destinations, even before a connection is established. Okay, so you will be able to stop any threats over any port or protocol before they reach your network or reach your endpoints. Okay, so in typical organization, okay, let's say this is a user, right? He needs to access facebook.com. He opens up a browser, types facebook.com. The DNS request goes to your corporate DNS server. It resolves that DNS query, returns back the IP address, and the client is then able to establish a TCP connection, HTTPS traffic to the Facebook web server. right? That's really what's happening at a high level. Okay? So all of your clients, all of your PCs, all of your users and devices in your organization, they basically point to your corporate DNS. Okay. Now deploying the Cisco Umbrella DNS is very easy. Okay. So again, in organizations, your clients point to your corporate DNS, and then the corporate DNS points to some sort of a public DNS. Okay, could be something like 8.8.8.8, 4.2.2.2, etc., etc. 1.1.1.1. Okay, that's how the resolutions and everything work. Now, it's very simple to implement Cisco Umbrella DNS. There is no downtime that's required, and you can implement or you can deploy Cisco Umbrella's DNS security throughout the organization in 10 minutes. Okay, because all you have to do is, rather than your corporate DNS pointing to the public DNS servers here, okay, you rather point your corporate DNS to the Cisco Umbrella, which are basically two IP addresses: 208.67.222.222.222 and 208.67.220. These are the IP addresses of Cisco Umbrella DNS servers. So now, from your organization's perspective, any requests that originate from within your organization, they basically go to the Cisco Umbrella DNS servers. And then within the Cisco Umbrella, you would create DNS policies that will look at any requests that are coming in from your organization, any DNS requests coming in. If those requests are for good destinations, good domains, good FQDNs, etc., whatever, if it's a safe request, then the Umbrella DNS will resolve it and send back the IP address, the resolved IP address. If it is a bad request, the Umbrella DNS server basically blocks that request. As simple as that. And anyone is free to use these IP addresses. So you can use your IP address, or you can use these DNS servers for your home network as well. Free of charge. Okay. The only difference would be that you won't be able to create any DNS policies. Okay. If you have to create DNS policies, then you'll have to pay Cisco, buy an account, subscription, etc. But you're still free to use. Okay, I use it for my home network, so that all of my DNS requests that originate from within my home, they go to the DNS, they go to Umbrella DNS server. Okay, it still gives you protection. Okay, for any malicious domains, anything, especially ad-based websites, any adwares, any spywares, etc. Okay. I don't get to create any DNS policies, but that's fine. Okay, so rather than sending my DNS request to, let's say, Google DNS server or any other public DNS server, I prefer it to send it to Cisco Umbrella. Okay, keeps my home environment a little bit secure as well. Okay, so it's that simple to implement Cisco Umbrella's DNS security. Okay, like I said, it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right? All you have to do is on your corporate DNS servers, you just need to point them to these 2 IP addresses. That's it. Clear the cache and you're good to go. No restarts, no nothing needs to be done in your environment. You could have 1,000 users, 2,000 users, 5,000 users, 10,000 users, could be any number. Okay, so using the Umbrella DNS, this cloud delivered service, it provides you with visibility. Okay, and across locations, across network devices, anywhere. Okay, so if you're an organization, if you have Umbrella subscription, if you have an Umbrella account, which we call it as an Umbrella organization or an Umbrella org, where you would be able to create the DNS policies, you will be able to see all of the DNS activity that is originating from your organization. You would be able to see all the logs and everything. You would be able to see how what all users are trying to access what websites or what domains, and what action was taken by Umbrella, whether the request was blocked or whether it was allowed. Okay, and the logs can be retained within Umbrella for 30 days. Maximum 30 days. Okay. If you have to retain logs for a much longer period of time, maybe for auditing purposes or for other purposes, you basically can export them as well. Okay. Export for longer retention. And like I said multiple times, the biggest advantage is how quickly it can be implemented to cover thousands of locations and users in minutes. Okay. Questions for DNS security?
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, I missed your name.
Sorry.
Your name, sir?
It's Arun.
Yeah, Harun. Yeah, Harun. How the server actually the DNS the Cisco Umbrella will decide if it's a bad request. What parameters decide the bad request?
Within Cisco Umbrella?
Yeah, yeah. You said that if it is a good request, it resolution IP address, right?
Right.
It resolves the IP address. So how will it identify it is as a bad request?
Because of the threat intelligence.
Okay.
Okay. Because of the threat intel. Okay. Any other question?
Hi, Arun.
Yes.
I have a question. Like, if we're having that solution of Cisco Umbrella and
Mm-hmm.
all these 5 categories actually you described over here, like a cloud delivered firewall as well, that all this package will be included into the whole Cisco Umbrella.
Correct.
And that firewall you're talking about, layer 7 firewall, it will act like exactly the same firewall how
Correct.
we have on-prem, and then we can segregate all the networks.
When you say segregate the network,
Yes.
so what do you mean by when you say
Like
segmentation?
we have a firewall, we have on-prem firewall.
Mm-hmm.
We segregate our networks within that enterprise,
Mm-hmm.
and we just create policies like which network have to reach to the other network. So
Yeah.
can we do exactly the same over here,
Yes,
or is
you
it
can
not?
do that. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
But you need to understand one thing. When you implement something like Cisco Umbrella. This is meant only for internet-based traffic. Okay.
Right.
So this is not like an on-prem firewall where you would be able to, do a segregation where you could have a DMZ segment, you have a LAN segment, maybe you have a server segment, and then you can control traffic between them. Okay. You're not doing that. This is a cloud-based service. Any internet-based traffic that leaves your network, okay, that leaves your environment, okay, you want to have it go through security servers before it actually goes out to the internet. Okay, so technically that's why firewalls are implemented at the internet edge or at the edge of the network, so that any internet-based traffic that leaves or comes in from the internet into the network, it can be inspected and it can be protected. Okay, so we are now removing that hardware firewall or that virtual firewall, and we are sending all of that traffic to, let's say, a Cisco data center. Okay, and Cisco is implementing all of these different solutions, including the firewall, to inspect that traffic before having it go out the internet.
Okay, and one more thing about that web proxy number 3. So it will work exactly the web proxy like what other web proxies are working.
Correct, right.
Because all the traffic actually going onto the internet, so we can use that as a complete web proxy.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so technically from the, so if I highlight the packet flow, for example, of what happens within the Umbrella cloud when the traffic leaves or when the traffic comes into the Umbrella cloud, that will help you to just understand this a bit more. Okay, so this is, let's say, the organization. Okay, the traffic leaves the network and then it is sent to the Umbrella cloud. Okay, the first thing that the traffic can be subjected to or can be inspected by be the DNS layer engine. Okay, after the DNS, it can be handed over to the cloud delivered firewall. Okay, from the cloud delivered firewall, the traffic goes to the SWG. All right. And also within the cloud, obviously, we have a NAT engine here as well. So any traffic that is allowed through the firewall or is allowed through the SWG would eventually need to go out to the internet. So the traffic is then NATed, and then it exits the Umbrella cloud and goes out to the actual internet. Okay, so from your controlling perspective, what you control, you don't control the NAT. NAT is automatically done within the cloud. Okay, so you don't have to worry about any routing. You won't have to worry about any NATing that needs to happen inside of the Umbrella cloud. Okay, all you need to worry is to send any internet-based traffic from your organization to Umbrella. And then everything is taken care of within the Umbrella. You are in control of these policies. Okay, what sort of policies you want to implement, what sort of destinations you want to block, what sort of a block page you want to show to the users, okay, and all of that good stuff, you control that. Okay, and then if the traffic is allowed through all of these engines, it is then NATed within the cloud, and then it's sent out to the internet. Okay, so Umbrella DNS is resolved first. It is the first check for any malicious or unwanted domains and is based on, like I said, any of your defined DNS policies. Okay, so this typically reduces the quantity and the amount of traffic that will be sent to the cloud delivered firewall and to the SWG. Okay, so it helps to improve the responsiveness, latency, and performance as well. Okay, if this can take care of a lot of requests itself. Okay, now all the traffic that has made through the DNS checks that we have, it will then be inspected by the cloud delivered firewall. And just like an on-prem firewall, we call it a next generation firewall, which can do application visibility, IPS, etc., etc. This firewall also provides the visibility. So you can create application-based policies. Okay, so any outbound internet traffic, so you can control it based upon your L3, L4 ports, as well as layer 7 information. Okay, so once the traffic has made it through or made it past the firewall, it can straight away go out to the internet after being NATed, or you can further inspect any web traffic, port 80 or port 443 through this web gateway, which is the intelligent proxy. Okay, so this provides an even deeper security inspection. Okay, so you can apply application visibility control policies, the SWG. And once the traffic goes through the SWG, it can then be NATed and then can be sent on its way out to the internet. Okay, so this SWG is pretty powerful. Okay, it's a full cloud-based proxy. It can log and it can inspect all your web traffic, provides you with transparency, provides you with more traffic control, more protection. Okay, so what all it can implement? Obviously, malware protection. Just like your on-prem firewall can implement AMP, this implements AMP as well. Has the ability to scan any files that are being downloaded for malware. There is antivirus engine. Just right, AV. You can do file control. Okay, and when I say file control, file type control, basically. Okay, maybe you don't want to allow your users to be able to download exe files or ISO files. Okay, you can implement DLP. You can have granular controls. Maybe you don't want to allow any of your organization users to be able to upload files to Dropbox or to maybe upload any attachments to Gmail, or maybe to not allow them to post or share anything on Facebook, for example. Can do URL filtering, content filtering, or web filtering. Okay, there is support for sandboxing as well. Okay, so if a file is unknown, for example, the malware protection, the AV engine is not able to figure out if the file is good or bad, whether it has any malware, whether it's malicious or not. Again, do sandboxing. Okay, so this gets integrated with Cisco's threat grid. okay, which is the sandbox execution. Okay, so within the SWG, you have an utmost control over the traffic. Okay, questions? Okay. So you have three of these, and then CASB. CASB is kind of important nowadays because, like I said, a lot of people doing a lot of cloud-based workloads, cloud-based traffic and everything, cloud-based data. Okay, so this cloud access security capabilities that we have, right? It can really help your IT team by providing them with, detection and reporting capabilities on all the cloud applications that are being used in your environment. Okay, so this CASB, it automatically is capable of generating reports based on vendor, category, application name, and what's the volume of traffic or volume of activity for each discovered application might be. Okay, so it can give you information with respect to any risks for those applications. Okay, very important with respect to, let's say, any sort of financial visibility, any relevant compliance certifications, and everything. Okay, within this CASB, there is also a very useful feature which is called as tenant control. So using tenant control, you can restrict your users from being able to access certain SaaS applications. So for example, your organization can block access to all non-corporate instances of Microsoft Office 365, for example. Okay, which would prevent your users from not being able to reshare your corporate data to their personal SaaS instance. Okay, so you have tenant control, which is again a very useful feature within the CASB. And then the last piece here is obviously the threat intel, the Cisco Talos piece, right? So technically, Umbrella as a whole, it processes a huge amount of data on a daily basis. Okay, the last I checked or I was aware of, it was basically doing about 200 billion DNS requests per day. Or daily. Okay, so Umbrella really is ingesting or it's consuming a lot of this or this massive amount of internet data. And they continuously run machine learning models against it. So because of which they are able to build a database, because of which their security researchers, they are constantly analyzing the information. And that information is then also supplemented by their research team, by Talos. And this really helps them to build their database. It really helps them to build this information about what domains, what IP addresses, what malwares are there on the internet, and what should the organizations be protected against. Okay, So this threat intel piece is of utmost importance. Okay. Questions, anyone?
Yes, can you little explain that CASB with small example, the cloud access security broker?
Example, it could be, so again, like I said, from a perspective, let's say tenant control, okay? Like I
Yes,
explained.
yes.
It allows you to restrict access to SaaS applications. So for example, let's say an organization uses Office 365, okay? A corporate version of Office 365. And then your corporate user might have their own personal Microsoft Office 365 instance as well. Okay. Now, if let's say they are from their corporate laptop or corporate device, they access any sort of internal data. And then through that corporate device, they are also able to access their personal Office 365. This could lead to a data breach, or this could lead to data loss, right? They could share or upload the data from their device to their own personal Office 365 instance. Okay, and that happens a lot. So what you can do with CASB is you can restrict access. Okay, you can restrict access to only corporate Microsoft Office 365. And if they try to use their own or they try to log in to their personal Office 365 instance, that request basically gets denied by Umbrella. Okay, so they can only log in into their corporate Microsoft Office 365, which basically is they can only log in through their work email or through their business email. They won't be able to log in through their personal. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it's fine. And besides that Office 360, there can be other instances also. They can do that breaching into the security, just Office 360.
So within the tenant control, there is option for others or for other SaaS applications as well. So for example, Dropbox is there, okay? And then there are some other applications as well against which you can do control. And if there are applications which are not present within the CASB tenant control by default in Umbrella, you can add your own applications as well, which your organization might be using exclusively. Again, these would be SaaS-based applications.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other question? Okay. Now, one of the integrations that are highlighted here was the DNS part. Okay. The other sort of integration that can be done is through the SIG, the Secure Internet Gateway. Okay. So this would really mean, so when I say DNS security, okay, this will only be DNS requests that will go to Umbrella and will be subjected by the DNS policy. Okay. But let's say an organization wants to send all of their traffic to Umbrella, all internet-based traffic or all internet-bound traffic, not just DNS. Okay. So in that case, you would need to also do the Secure Internet Gateway or the SIG integration. And a SIG integration is nothing but, so at the edge of an organization's network, okay, you would have a router, typically, from a WAN perspective. Okay, so now what you do is, and obviously you have Umbrella. So what you do is we create IPSec tunnels to Umbrella. And on these routers, we would simply have a route, a default route, which will basically cause all the traffic to go into these tunnels, really. So what we're trying to do is we are basically backhauling any internet-bound traffic from sites, from locations, into Umbrella. So now any traffic that leaves the organization will go into the Umbrella, and it will be subjected to all the policies, not just DNS. So this packet flow that I showed you, this will be achievable, a complete packet flow with the SIG integration. The DNS integration will only cause the DNS policies to take effect. Okay. You can also, or if an organization, or if your organization, let's say, has something like SD-WAN, then you can have SD-WAN integration with Umbrella as well, and which is nothing but these tunnels are basically automatically created if you have SD-WAN. If you don't have SD-WAN, then you basically create these tunnels manually. Okay, so these are what we typically call as our SIG tunnels, or secure internet gateway tunnels, which are, again, nothing but IPsec tunnels.
So
Oh, sorry, someone was saying anything.
just want to ask that these tunnels, they will act like a secure VPN as well?
They are more or less a VPN tunnel, yes.
So we have to configure the configuration of the VPNs onto our organization's routers as well. So by the instructions of Umbrella, like for SIG integration, we just can't do whatever like usually we do.
So when you say VPN, so VPN is nothing but VPNs are IPsec tunnels. Okay, so there is technically no difference between a VPN tunnel and an IPsec tunnel. It's the same thing.
Like we have VPNs multiple flavors also, like IK1, IK2, like these kind of side to side. So what kind of VPN it will be from our organization point of view? Like we have to configure on our end.
So when you say different types of tunnels, so there are just two different types of tunnels. It could be site to site or it could be remote access. Okay, when you say IKE version 1, IKE version 2, those are different protocols within IPsec. Okay, so when you create these IPsec tunnels, they typically will use IKE version 2. Okay, and you can term these as site-to-site tunnels. Okay, but we don't typically call them site-to-site tunnels because site-to-site tunnels are typically built between two firewalls or between two routers. Okay, this here, we are building these tunnels from a router to cloud service. Okay, so we typically call it SIG. Okay, because, and the reason for calling it SIG is, so SIG is basically secure internet gateway. Okay, so these tunnels are basically being built so that your internet-based traffic can be securely sent to Umbrella. And then any of the policies that you have deployed here, they can be applied to those or to that traffic, basically. Okay.
Yes, good, sir.
Now, obviously, you can have multiple tunnels. So if you would like to have a higher throughput, rather than having a single tunnel, you can have multiple tunnels. So specifically, for every single router, you could have a total of 16 tunnels. 8 active and 8 passive or standby. Maximum 16 tunnels. Okay. And then when you have multiple tunnels, then you basically get to do ECMP. Equal cost multipath. Or on these routers, you can do PBR, policy-based routing, okay, as well. You can choose which tunnels you want to send certain types of traffic. Okay, obviously, it would depend upon what sort of a device you have, what sort of a router you have. Okay, so obviously, a higher tier router, maybe something like an ISR 4000, Cisco ISR 4000 router, okay, will have much more performance capabilities, much more throughput capabilities, right? Than maybe a virtual router. But from a functionality perspective, from a tunneling perspective, from these features perspective, there's literally no difference. So to Umbrella, it does not matter whether these tunnels are being built from a hardware router or from a virtual router. It does not really matter. Okay. So any of your users sitting on-prem, sitting inside of or in your office, they send DNS traffic, right? Or they send any other internet-based traffic. All the traffic now travels through the tunnels into Umbrella, and all of the policies and everything get evaluated here. And if the traffic is good, it then goes out to the internet. Okay, so now from an organization's perspective, they don't really need to deploy any firewalls, any proxies, any DLP solutions on-prem. Okay, but rather they can just send the traffic to Umbrella. Okay. Now, so this is your DNS security and the SIG piece. The last thing that there is, or one more use case that there is, now this is when the user is sitting in the office, sitting on-prem behind the corporate edge. Okay, so you have implemented policies, DLP, et cetera, et cetera. What if this user now goes home? Okay, so now basically he is free to access anything. All of your tenant controls, all of your DNS, all of your SWG, et cetera, all of those policies will not be applicable. Right? Because the traffic will now not travel to Umbrella. Right? For that purpose, there is an Umbrella roaming module that you can implement. So when your user is not in office, he could be anywhere in the world. He is a roaming user. He is a hybrid workforce. If he is part of my organization, if he is using my corporate device, I want the same policies to apply to him, no matter where he is in the world. He is in office, he is in an airport lounge, he is in a hotel, he is at home. Policy should be the same. If he is not allowed to access Facebook when he is in office, he should not be allowed to access Facebook when he is at home from the corporate device. So we implement roaming modules. These roaming modules, they basically provide an always-on security functionality. Okay, so these Umbrella module, they basically are nothing but they are creating IPSec tunnels with Umbrella as well. Technically. So when this user is sitting in the office, this Umbrella module knows that this device is in office. It turns itself off so that all the traffic can directly flow through these SIG tunnels. When this user goes home, he powers on its laptop, etc., connects to the internet. This Umbrella module now knows that he's no longer on the corporate network. It turns itself on. And when it turns itself on, it's basically nothing but it is creating these IPsec tunnels. So now any traffic that now originates from the device, from the laptop, just like when the user was here, it will go through the tunnel into Umbrella, and the same set of policies that were applicable to the user when he was in the organization on-prem, those policies will still apply before the traffic is allowed to go out to the internet. So this roaming agent or the roaming module here, it is capable of redirecting traffic for any sort of enforcement at the DNS layer. The SWG policies and everything are applied and are applicable as well. Okay, any questions? So we're calling these always on security. It's really because it's always present. The module is installed, it's there, and it's always there. The user does not really have to do anything. Or you as an engineer, as a solution engineer, as maybe an architect, maybe an admin, you don't really have to do anything as well. After the first implementation. Okay, once the module has been installed. Post that, the module works on itself. Okay, it's capable of detecting when it's sitting behind corporate network or sitting on the corporate network, and then it's able to detect when it's not on the corporate network.
So this Umbrella roaming module, we have to install it separately, or is it the same one like how we have that always on VPN onto our corporate PCs?
So if you are already using something like AnyConnect, Cisco AnyConnect, or maybe Cisco Secure Client, okay, this Umbrella module will be part of the AnyConnect as well. So you won't really have to install anything additional.
Right.
Okay. So this basically works as a modular agent, part of the same AnyConnect that you might already have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, if we are not creating any tunnel between the router and the umbrella, and we have installed the roaming application to the client,
Mm-hmm.
then the client will connect to the tunnel with the umbrella, right, sir?
Yes.
In the organization also.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Okay. Questions? Any other? Now, Umbrella is subscription based. Okay. When I say subscription based, obviously it's licensed. Okay. You do not get to. So basically, there is no evaluation or anything for it. Okay. You can have a 14-day trial of Umbrella, free trial of Umbrella. Okay, but you will need to register it through your work email. Okay, it won't accept email address from, let's say, Gmail, Yahoo, etc. Okay, so you'll have to do that way. So there's no evaluation apart from just this, the 14-day free trial. Okay. Licenses is basically two types of licenses. So obviously there might be organizations who just want to do DNS. They don't want to do SIG, right? They already have firewalls and everything. Okay, so they don't want to just throw their firewalls away, create tunnels, and use Umbrella. Okay, so that's why there are two forms of licenses. We can have DNS licensing. Okay, and within the DNS, there are two of these. There is Essentials and there is Advantage licensing. Okay, and then within the SIG part, we have the same thing. We have Essentials and Advantage. Okay, so for the most part, the differences between the two is with respect to what can be done. So for example, the DNS Essentials and Advantage, they have, or these will not offer the sandboxing. Okay, there will be limited support for CASB. Okay, there will be no DLP, but just DNS. There will be no firewall. Okay, if you do SIG, you get obviously everything that DNS has, plus all of these as well. So that's how the licensing has been done, obviously.
Sir, and how we will identify like this is the SIG or DNS base?
What will you identify?
The licenses, sir. Actually, my company is using the DNS security, but I don't know like this is the SIG based or DNS based. So can I see at the support portal or something else?
You can go into Umbrella. You can
Uh-huh.
go into the Umbrella dashboard, admin page, and then there should be a licensing section. So you should be able to see there whether you're doing DNS licensing, whether you have SIG licensing, whether you have both, which one you have Essentials, Advantage, whatever.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And one more thing about the whole Umbrella and the SASE and everything that we are doing is it's not very easy for you to do labs for it. Okay? Because again, it's a subscription-based piece, or it's a subscription-based model. It's a cloud-based service. It's offered as cloud as a service, or basically it's offered as a software as a service. Okay, so it's very difficult for you to lab these components, these solutions as well. Okay, so a couple of lab options that you might have, I'll highlight those to you. Okay, so one of the things is you can come in and you can look at the OpenDNS. Okay, so this was what was acquired by Cisco. So you can see OpenDNS is now part of Cisco. And if I will scroll down, you would see the DNS IP addresses. Okay, so again, anyone is free to use them. Okay, and like I said, I use them to, at a certain level, I use it to protect my home network as well. Okay, I don't get to make changes to policies, etc., etc. Okay, for that, you'll have to buy subscription, you have to pay for a subscription. And the way that you would, and the way that the licenses are, they are based on users, how many users you have. Okay, the DNS licensing is based upon how many, or in addition to the user, they are also kind of based on how many DNS requests are originating from your environment or in your environment. Okay, so the way for you to be able to do labs, there are a couple of options. Okay, one is that Umbrella free trial that I was talking about. Okay, so this is where you can sign up for it. Okay, again, this is just for DNS. This is only for DNS security. You won't be able to do SIG to it. Okay, but if you would like to play around with it, see how things function, how things are, then you can make use of this. Okay, I'll copy this in the chat. A work email, basically. Okay, you won't be able to use Gmail. Okay, so you can try that. You can also do, how many of you have accessed Cisco dCloud, for example? Has anyone used Cisco dCloud? No? So if you haven't, then you should. Okay. But the thing is that dCloud access requires partner login. Okay. So the website for this is dcloud.cisco.com. Okay. So you can see that you have lots of labs here. Okay. And in these labs, so for example, there's an Umbrella lab in dCloud, and then there are lab guides and everything for it. And you have topologies and everything built already, and there are different scenarios that you can run through yourself. And you get a fully functional environment. Okay, so everything is licensed. You're free to use it, free to configure it, take it down. Okay, so dCloud really offers you a good way for you to practice some of these things which you cannot build in your own labs, right? Obviously, not everyone has racks at home. Not everyone has a home server, for example. Okay, so this can really help you, or this really helps you to do that. Okay, but again, it needs partner login. Okay, so you need to be with a Cisco partner to be able to access this. Okay. The third option that you have is Cisco DevNet. Okay, this is the developer community for Cisco. Okay, here you have sandboxes as well. Okay, so you can see that you have lots of different sandboxes for different technologies. Under security, you would have for Umbrella. Okay, if you want to do something with respect to ICE, for example, or maybe Firewall. Okay, so you can use dCloud, or sorry, DevNet as well. Okay, the good thing about DevNet is you can sign up for it. So this is not, or this is basically open for everyone. Okay, so anyone is free to basically sign up to DevNet and then take the courses and everything. Everything is free. It's not paid or anything. Okay, so these are the different options that you have for doing any sort of labs for such topics. Okay, any questions? No? Okay. That is your umbrella. Okay, that's what Cisco Umbrella solution is. That's what SIG really is. Okay, the DNS security part. And again, the main competitor to the Umbrella solution technically is Zscaler. Okay, so if anyone has worked with Zscaler, Zscaler has something similar, which Zscaler calls it ZIA. Okay, Zscaler Internet Access. So this is similar to SIG. Okay, so you're able to build IPSec tunnel from any router, in this case to Zscaler cloud, okay, which Zscaler calls it their zero trust exchange. Okay, zero trust exchange. Okay, so you could have SD-WAN integration, you could have just a router integration going out to SCALE. The concept really is the same. Okay, so if you understand what SIG is, the whole IPsec tunnel piece and everything, exactly the same. Okay, so Zscaler does the same thing. Cisco is doing the same thing as well. Just the naming conventions are different. And then obviously the architecture for the cloud. So the Umbrella cloud architecture is different. The Zscaler cloud architecture will be different, obviously. Okay, but the functionality, the concept remains the same. Okay. Questions?
One thing, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Do you give the training of Zscalers also?
No, I don't. I don't.
And networkings they also offer or not?
I'm not aware. They might be. Again, the problem with so the thing with Zscaler is it's all cloud-based. It's all software as a service. Okay, so even if the training is there, it typically would be just whiteboarding or slides or anything. Okay, you won't be able to get hands-on with it, obviously. Okay, because everything is subscription-based. Okay, so that
Actually, we are
might
using
be.
the Zscaler
Mhm.
in our organization. The problem is only the Zscaler teams are separate and we don't have the access to see how they are doing and what they're doing. So
Correct.
in case if somebody have to learn that, is there any platform where we can learn? I don't know. That's why I
You
was
have,
just asking.
if you have to learn it, then again, obviously you have to be working with it. That's really the problem with these cloud-based solutions. Okay, with the hardware appliances and everything, you can get evaluation, and then you can actually at least see and get some hands-on. Right. But with these, either you're working with it or maybe your organization sends you for some sort of a paid training where you get lab access as well. That's where you can get hands-on. Okay. Apart from that, I mean, again, it's very difficult to get any sort of hands-on with the cloud-based solutions only. One platform might be there. See if you have access or you can access WWT. So WWT is a very big partner. I mean, a vendor, basically. So they partner for major vendors, Palo, Fortinet, Cisco, Zscaler, and they have their own ATC labs. Okay, and they have a lot of these labs created for different platforms, for different vendors. Okay, so see if you have access to WWD. Okay, see if you can log in, sign up, etc. If you can, great. This is a very great platform that WWD has. Okay, that's one way in which you can, get some hands-on on some of these labs. So they have lots of these learning paths as well. For example, they have for ZIA. Okay, they have for others as well, Zero Trust, etc., etc. Okay. They have one for integrating Cisco's SD-WAN with Zscaler. Okay, so lots of good labs they have. Okay, but you'll have to see if you can access them or not. Okay, so give it a try. Okay, try to sign up and see if you are able to access it or not.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and I've added all of these links in the chat window. Let me add the developer or the DevNet one as well.
So Arun, is
Okay.
Umbrella is a Zscaler, no, sorry, SASE application?
So SaaS is not one thing. SaaS is a framework, really. So there is nothing like a SaaS application. Okay. So SaaS is not a platform. SaaS is not a product. Okay. So I'll talk about SaaS tomorrow. Okay. So we'll discuss SaaS in a little bit more detail, and I'll share different options that you have with respect to Cisco. What are the different ways in which Cisco does SaaS or SASE, the way that it's called. But again, SASE is more or less a framework. Okay, it's an architecture, really. How do you get SASE is where the whole mystery is nowadays. Okay,
So it's
when I'm
covered some services, right? From that SASE framework, for the Cisco Umbrella, it's covered
Mhm.
some services for the SASE part, right?
Yes and no. Okay, so Cisco really has a new platform that is replacing Umbrella. Okay, which so currently when we talk and say Umbrella, this can be called as SSE or Secure Services Edge platform. Okay, so SSE called as Umbrella.
So it's covered all the features of SSC, or it's covered a few services from SSC only?
Not sure I get your question. Again,
I am
SSE
saying,
is not a solution.
okay, no,
Okay.
no. So you have mentioned here, so Umbrella as a SSE, you have mentioned, right? So all the features which is covered under SSC, all the services which we covered under SSC, it's covered for the umbrella as well, or it's covered only few services from SSC only?
So when you say all the services under SSE, what are all the services under SSE?
Means CASB, like you mentioned previously, CASB
Yeah,
or
those are, yes, Umbrella
ATNA,
services.
yeah, Zero Trust, all the.
Correct. So that's what Umbrella covers. Okay. Umbrella is an SSE solution.
So
Okay.
except
So just
SD-WAN,
like
it's covered all the features, right?
Umbrella, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So just like when we say next generation firewall, and then we say Palo Alto is a next generation firewall, Fortinet is a next generation firewall. Okay. Similarly, SSE is just a term. SSE is just kind of like a platform name. Okay. From Cisco's perspective, Cisco Umbrella is an SSE solution. Okay. Similarly, if I discuss Zscaler, Zscaler is an SSE solution. Palo Alto has an SSE solution. Their Prisma Access is an SSE. Okay. And there are other vendors out there who are also doing the same thing, where they are doing cloud-based services, cloud-based security solution. Anytime you have a cloud-based security solution, it will be SSE. Okay. Anytime you have anyone doing cloud-delivered security, that will be called as an SSE solution, a secure services edge solution, which will obviously include all of that which I have mentioned. Okay, your proxy, CASB, DLP, malware protection, firewall, DNS, etc., etc.
So
Okay.
is there any major difference between Cisco Umbrella or Prisma Access?
From a difference perspective, not really. They both are doing the same thing. Okay, like I said, all of the features that you see here, they are being implemented by Prisma Access.
Okay.
Okay, what it comes down really to is a deployment preference, pricing, how good the feature is, how good the product is, the solution is, how mature the solution is. Okay, so in its current form, the only two mature solutions in this field is Cisco's and Zscaler. Okay, Palo Alto and other vendors, they are coming up into that field. Okay, they are coming up into the race, but they don't compete that well with these two solutions. Okay, but obviously there is market for every vendor. There's market for everything. Okay, a lot of people like to do Palo Alto only. Okay, some people like to do Zscaler only. Some people like to do Fortinet only. Some people like to do Cisco only. So it really depends. Okay? But from a feature perspective, from a functionality perspective, all the solutions really work the same. The naming of the features and the functionality and the engines might be different. That would really be it. Okay. So Umbrella, and then Cisco has a new solution in the market now, which is kind of like a replacement for Umbrella, which is called as Cisco Secure Access, CSA. Okay, again, it is very similar to Umbrella. Okay, it is kind of like an evolved Umbrella, really. Okay, so it does everything that Umbrella does, plus a lot of other additional things as well. Okay, which I'll talk about tomorrow, which we'll discuss tomorrow, what it does not, additionally to Umbrella. Okay, now before I end it today, I just want to leave you guys with the SASE piece. Okay, so we have been hearing a lot about SASE. Okay, the secure access service edge thing. Okay, so everyone is like, what is SASE? What is SASE? SASE is not a product. It is not a solution. It's rather an architecture. Okay. Now within SASE's architecture, there are three primary components which make up SASE. Okay. So first is SD-WAN. Okay, that's a primary solution. Plus cloud-based security. Okay. Plus some sort of a multi-factor authentication solution. So when an organization implements all three of these together, Okay, that's what basically classifies as a SASE solution or a SASE architecture. Okay, so I'm pretty sure everyone would know who Gartner is, right? They are an organization that come up with terminologies, how the industry needs to progress, etc., etc. So they were the ones who came up with SASE. I think it was before COVID in 2019 or something. They termed a new word SASE, and they gave an explanation what SASE is, etc., etc. Okay, so that's when the SD-WAN and everything was, booming and coming up, etc. So that's what they said. An organization has SD-WAN. They do cloud-based security, just like what I've explained with Umbrella. And then they also implement something like a multi-factor authentication solution for remote users, for roaming users. We will call the solution as SASE. Okay, now 3-4 years down the line, somewhere around maybe 2023, 2024, okay, they realized, obviously, not everyone will do all three, right? There might be organizations who might want to do security, but they might not want to move to SD-WAN. They might already have a WAN and enterprise infrastructure, just your traditional routing and switching, but they don't want to do SD-WAN. So now what? So that's when they coined the term SSE. Okay, so if any organization wants to just do cloud security and not do SASE, okay, which is where they don't want to do SD-WAN, for example, so they can just choose to integrate their environment with a cloud-based security solution. Okay, and they made this term, this new term, it came out in 2023, 2024, SSE. So now the consensus really is that you could do SD-WAN or SD-WAN plus SSE is what is called as SASE. Okay, so if an organization uses SD-WAN plus they do cloud-based security, it is SASE. Okay, so if I do something like Cisco SD-WAN plus Umbrella, or maybe CSA, or maybe Zscaler, or maybe Prisma Access, this would be called as a SASE solution. And again, SD-WAN could be anything. So it could be Apollo SD-WAN. Okay, it could be maybe what? Versa, it could be Silver Peak, could be anything. Okay, make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so SASE is nothing but it's this. So it's nothing to get too confused about.
So it means it is like it's not like a centralized like management how we work. I was thinking maybe SASE is the platform where we can
No, it's not.
make them together and manage everything one shot.
No, it's not.
So
I mean,
if we have already like SD-WAN, cloud-based security as well, and MFA, so it is SASE.
correct.
No matter which vendor actually we are using
Correct.
for all three.
Doesn't matter. So it's not vendor lockdown term. Okay, it's a more industry-wide terminology that Gartner came up with before COVID. Okay, and then they had to come down to invent this new term SSE because again, obviously, they realized that not every organization would adopt SD-WAN. Okay, so they
Right.
cannot have everyone doing SASE. So that's when They came up with SSE that, okay, you don't want to do SD-WAN, but you want to do cloud security. You don't want to buy and install hardware, etc. on-prem, then sure, you can do SSE, just do the cloud-based security. So that's what SSE is. So now we basically say SD-WAN plus you have an SSE solution. So that basically means you are, or you have SASE implemented, really.
Copied.
Okay. Right, questions? So obviously, since we're talking about Cisco, we'll look at
Hello.
Cisco really. Yes.
Hello. If Cisco has a no, advanced version, Cisco Umbrella has an advanced version, the same security. So why would we learn Cisco Umbrella, or why would any customer want Cisco Umbrella other than Cisco? Secure access, if you have secure access.
So if it is, so let's just say this is, Umbrella came first, okay? And Umbrella has now evolved into secure access, okay? So there are existing customers who use Umbrella, who have been using Umbrella, and they might not want to move to CSA or secure access, okay? If you are a new customer, if you are someone new who's trying to get into the cloud security piece, then you would do the secure access, okay? But there is still a use case where you would still want to do Umbrella, okay? And we'll discuss that tomorrow. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay, this is a very good blog that there was on Cisco's site a long time ago in 2022. That's when all of this jargon was coming out. So I've added that to the chat window so you can look or read through it. It's a very small document here, okay? But it has got a lot of these hyperlinks. It has got links to the Gartner thing, okay? So it gives you a lot of this information, what SASE is from Gartner's perspective, what they term to be SASE, okay? Then they started calling SSE keys, okay? And then some other terms that you might see, okay? So lots of good information here that you can read about. And again, if you have access to dcloud and everything, you would be able to find SASE labs on dcloud, okay? Which is where you would have Cisco SD-WAN plus cloud security integrations done, lab guides and everything that you can run through and see how that integration happens. Okay. Again, if you have access to Zscaler, then Zscaler has a lot of labs as well. So one of them I showed you here. So they are ATC labs. Okay, so from, let's say, security perspective, you would have lots of labs here. Okay. No, these are just workshops. Let me just look at the correct link, and then I'll paste it so that you can check, sign up and see if you are able to access any of those. If you are able to, great. This is the correct link. Okay, so lots of good labs in here that they have. SD-WAN perspective, Cisco SD-WAN perspective, next generation firewall, etc. This will have your Palo Alto labs as well. So this has SASE labs as well. Okay. So you can try it out from here. Tomorrow we'll do a little bit more about SASE. We'll talk about a little bit more about SASE, what SASE, I mean, really is. Okay, I already explained what it is. Okay, but I explained what SASE is. From Cisco's perspective, what are the different ways in which Cisco offers SASE? Okay, and then one essential difference that I'll discuss is difference between Umbrella and secure access. Okay, what is that? Umbrella has now evolved into what is secure access offering additional that Umbrella does not do. Okay, so we'll discuss that tomorrow. All right, any questions before I end
Sir,
it?
will you be explain like there is a multiple option in the umbrella, like a network adding and the policy creation, this part of that umbrella.
There are no labs to it. So like I explained, there is no evaluation for it. Okay, so you cannot set up labs just like you would set up for anything else. Okay, so that's why I'm giving you.
Uh, like a PPT, if there is anything kinds of, then because sir,
Don't
in umbrella I have seen there is a multiple thing like a log related and things.
have a
So
PPT, but you can access the admin guide or the user guide for Umbrella. Okay, so this is where you would have everything, right from what needs to be done, licensing, etc. How do you set up DNS layer security? So you have all the instructions and everything, if that's what you were asking for. How do you do integration, reports, roaming client? Okay, so this is what you can use to if you are trying to set up Umbrella yourself. Okay, so docs.umbrella.com. Okay, so the whole purpose for this 2-day kind of workshop is just to give you some insights, give you some information about what really the product is, what really the solution is, what it offers, okay, and what's really the difference between and why it's there. What is the product doing? What is the solution doing, right? What is SASE really? Why it's there? What it's trying to achieve? And just maybe talk about from a from a vendor perspective, what vendors are there out there who are doing the things, etc., etc. If you are looking to do labs, then you would need to look at all of the solutions that I mentioned that you can do labs through. Okay.
okay, sir.
All right. Any
So,
other questions? Yes.
yeah, Arun. What will be these course timings and duration? This umbrella course?
Like I said, it's just a 2-day workshop.
And is there
Okay.
any certification is provided in Cisco for this course or?
There is no direct certification for just Umbrella, really.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you do Cisco's TCNP security, then Umbrella is there in some of the certifications. So there is a
The core
new
or what?
in core. There is very small amount of
Mhm.
Umbrella, but there's a new
Mhm.
certificate or a new certification that has or Cisco has come out with. That is one is the SCAZT. Okay, this is from the perspective of cloud access. Okay,
Mhm.
and another one is the SDSI. So this is a new one as well. So this is from a design perspective. Okay, but the SCZAT, this is the one that will have more of cloud security. So you can see cloud security architecture. Okay, this is where it will talk about SASE integrations, zero trust. Okay, this is where it will talk about all of this, right? So you have SSE there. Okay, so this is where you'll have Umbrella. Okay, so this is much more relevant from a cloud perspective, certification, cloud access perspective. But apart from this, there is no direct certification just for Umbrella. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, there are no more questions, then I'll see you guys tomorrow then. Okay, so we'll talk about SASE tomorrow and then some of the other.
Will you show any practical tomorrow, Umbrella?
Again, like I said, I've already given you all the options that are there for labs.
Oh, will you show any tomorrow, any practical?
There are no practicals to it. Again, it's just a workshop.
Just one information I just want to ask. Just the concentration exam 300-740 for the cloud security. If we're going to prepare that exam, and usually because there's no labs available online, we're going to get on the exam. So how it will be all that, I mean, like theory related questions we have to give answers or what?
No, it does. It's not all theory. There are some aspects to it which will require you to know some configuration things as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw like ASA and FTDs,
Right.
some kind of integrations also available over there.
Correct.
So
again, this exam in its current form, I mean, I'm not really sure if there are any good resources to prepare for it. Apart from the fact that maybe let's say you are already working on all of the solutions. Okay, so it's currently, I would say, not really a good time to do that certification, because again,
I think nobody will be actually giving the training as well for this certification, this consultation exam.
Yeah, it's difficult because since
I checked in
everything,
Cisco U, so it's provide, I think 16 labs are there. So, but it's too much costly, I think, from Cisco U, if you can
right
check.
there they have, yes, there they have a certification. Sorry, there they have a video training available. Yes, they have there. But again, like you said, I mean, it's expensive. Plus, I mean, it is not going to completely prepare you for the exam. You would still need to have some sort of a proper lab environment where you can, test things out, configure things, see things as well. Okay, and with that cloud solution, everything is SaaS-based application. So obviously, it won't be easy for you to get access to everything from a lab perspective. So it kind of makes it a bit difficult to prepare for that exam as well, because it has other things as well. It has got Cisco XDR, Cisco Cloud Analytics, Cisco Secure Workload. So those sort of solutions as well are being tested on that exam. Okay, so not really easy currently to prepare for that exam. Yeah.
And that Umbrella's 14 days trial, what they're giving us like on our
That's DNS
official
security.
email, DNS secure only, and that at least we can see the interface if we
yes, you
get
can.
that.
Yes, so you will have access to the dashboard. So I think they are going to provision an organization for you Okay, and you get access to it, so you can create your DNS policies and everything. So a good way for you to maybe practice that is make use of the admin guide and integrate your home network with it. Okay, so any sort of DNS traffic that originates from your home, send it to DNS. Okay,
Right.
send it to Umbrella DNS, and then you can create policies, try to access some malicious websites, and see how it, is able to block. And
So it will like work exactly the evaluations like plan how we use for other things, other Cisco
correct,
products.
right, for 14 days. Yes.
For 14 days, yes.
You will be able to use it. You will be able to create your policies. You will be able to keep using the Umbrella DNS even after the 14-day trial, but you will lose access to the policies and everything. So they won't take effect after the 14 days. But if you have your home network or any of your devices pointed to the Umbrella DNS servers, that will still continue to work after the evaluation as well, or after the trial period as well.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, anyone?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Well,
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. See
Bye.
you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.